Hello and welcome into another episode of Rolling With My Special Friends. Today, there's a guy with us that I really want you guys to know and understand about. He's put 23 years of service into working with children with special needs. He's also very adaptive into the outdoor industry as far as camping and getting these children outdoors and understanding the little intricacies, I call it, of getting a child outside and enjoying God's great creation. Mr. Rickman, how are you today, sir?
I'm doing great. Great. Appreciate you having me.
Yes, sir. You're very welcome to be here. Now, just knock this thing right out of the park to start with. Tell us what in the world is the love. Where did the love from, working with these special needs come from?
I'd like to contribute most of it to my parents, to my mom and dad. Growing up, my dad was highly involved in scouting and was our scoutmaster, and so was my mom, involved in Cub Scouts and all that stuff, starting us off, and then heavily involved in our church. My mom actually worked at the church, and she was my kindergarten teacher. They just raised us to me and my brothers to try to serve others. And then, as I got a little bit older, I actually had a cousin that had a intellectual disability, and so just kind of being around him, at a young age for me. Just kind of opened my eyes to that world, so to speak.
Okay. Now, when you say open your eyes to that world, what was his disability that kind of inspired this?
Sure. He was, when he was about 2 or 3 months old, I believe, had spinal meningitis and got a really bad fever.
Wow.
And it caused some brain damage. And so it took his eyesight, as well as has an intellectual disability. So a mild mental disability, but with the challenge of the eyesight as well, just made life challenging for him.
Right. Well, but I see too that where it would have grown a friendship between you two guys of really you seeing, as a lack of a better word, seeing the world through his eyes,
yeah.
And you getting to see the things that he could enjoy and how to help make that life better, and
right.
How it would transition for you into the rest of this career you got going here. Tell us, how does that transition into college? What kind of classes did you take to kind of go down that path?
Sure. Basically, actually, college wasn't even really in the mix for me when I graduated high school. I lived in Atlanta and went to work for Delta right out of high school. So that was kind of going to be my career path. And then just learned that I did want to do more. I did want to kind of help people. Not that job doesn't help people, but I wanted to be more hands-on helping people. And actually, I kind of forgot about this part. When I worked there, I started off on the ramp, doing bags and stuff, and then worked my way up to the gate. And then was a passenger service agent. So got to basically be one of those people who escorted people with disabilities from to get from one gate to the other in that huge airport that is Atlanta.
Right.
And so that kind of, like I said, I didn't even think about that till you started talking to me, that probably influenced me in a lot of ways as well. But anyway, started that path and, just realized that I did want to kind of do more. And I always had a love for working with, kids and thought I wanted to be a coach. So started at University of West Georgia as a physical education major. And then, basically after about a year of school, met a friend who was, she was about to graduate with Therapeutic Recreation degree. I'd never even heard of Therapeutic Recreation, didn't know what it was or anything. And just once I learned more about it and kind of educated myself about that, just thought that would be a better career path for me. So changed my major to Therapeutic Rec.
Wow. Now, so for everybody out there listening, give us a little definition. What is therapeutic rec?
It can mean a lot of different things. Some people call it recreational therapy or therapeutic recreation. Either way is fine. You can work in hospitals, helping, you kind of help out with some parts of the physical, there's physical therapy and occupational therapy, and then recreational therapy is more of trying to get back to things you were doing in your life. From a rehab standpoint, just getting out and doing more of the recreation that is a big part of most people's life. And how do I do that, after an accident or something like that?
Right.
So that's one aspect of it. But then there's the community aspect of it, where each of our towns has, a rec department that does community recreation. And most towns are going to have a therapeutic rec department that's going to work with people with special needs. So
Okay.
that's kind of where I was more headed, was I wanted to be part of the recreation community and work for a rec department.
Now, and you made a transition from college into an internship, I'm correct? Where did you intern at?
Ended up interning at Camp ASCCA.
Okay.
Actually, the same person who had told me about, her name's Julie, and she had told me about Therapeutic Rec. She also did her internship there. And again, just not being educated about it at the time, had no idea that there was camps that existed that specifically served people with special needs. And then again, going back to my dad and my mom and growing up in scouting and going to camps myself every summer with my brothers, and just to be able to combine camping and working with special needs, I was like, wow, this is like
The perfect.
yeah, if I could dream that up, that would be the perfect job. And so I was like, heck yeah, I'd love to do an internship there.
Wow. So now, and if I'm understanding or following the timeline correctly here on the story from where you and I talked, you went from ASCCA to somewhere else. Where'd you leave?
Right. So I did my internship at Camp ASCCA. I guess it was the spring of '98. And at the time, ASCCA didn't have any positions other than seasonal positions. So obviously I was graduating and needed to get a full-time job.
Right.
And was lucky enough to land a job in Tuscaloosa for their park and rec, doing therapeutic recreation.
Okay.
So
and then as you go to Tuscaloosa, I hear you bounce backwards again. So
I did.
Tell us about that tennis ball.
So moved out there and worked in Tuscaloosa for probably almost a year. Loved it. Great people, amazing people I got to work with, great organization, was really happy there. But again, after doing that internship at Camp ASCCA, knew that I had a love and a passion for that. And heard about a full-time position had opened up at camp, so I applied. And I guess in January of '99, I was hired as the outdoor adventure director at Camp ASCCA.
Okay, so now on that second bounce back, you've been there 20 plus years now.
Yeah.
Tell us, so that people know what we're talking about here when we say Camp ASCCA. What does that stand for?
Okay. ASCCA is Alabama Special Camp for Children and Adults.
Okay.
So it's an acronym. And basically what that means is we're a camp that serves children and adults with intellectual and or physical disabilities.
All right. So now, and break that down a little bit further. What in the world, if they come to camp, can they expect to do?
Just about anything.
Okay.
Again, growing up, going to camps myself, the first time I set foot on Camp ASCCA and saw all the different activities that they had, I was just I was blown away. I was like, this is like 10 times nicer and more activities than any camp I was able to attend as a kid. And I thought those camps were great. So I was really blown away by the variety of activities that camp has. And again, being naive in the field, not knowing, what might be out there, what activities could someone with a disability participate in at camp.
Right.
And what I quickly learned is that it's endless. We're just like any other camp. We have, most camps are going to have, a swimming pool and canoeing and archery. And of course we have those things, but we also have 3 zip lines. We have a giant swing. We have a water slide that's completely accessible. And, just tons of different activities that they can do. And like I said, we run it just like any other camp in the country.
Wow. Now, and also another aspect that I've heard here recently, because I've got to travel and talk to a lot of different speakers and celebrities and things like that. They're telling me that you guys have added some concerts down there.
We have. That's been a big part. I guess for about the past 3 years, we've really taken a deep dive into that. But for many years, camp is music's a big part of camp. Anybody will tell you, one of the campers' favorite activities of the week is usually the dance at the end of the week. And so we started dabbling in that with, rather than DJing a dance, let's say get a live band. And so we did a couple of those things with some local guys and just kind of grew from there. A big part of that, and it's kind of the theme throughout our camp, which is for a lot of our campers, they probably don't have the opportunity to go to a music festival or a concert. Not all of them, many of them can do those things, but the vast majority of our campers just don't have those opportunities. And so why shouldn't they?
Right. Sure.
And so we kind of started with that and built a outdoor venue, kind of a smaller venue. And then that expanded to a larger venue that we put in. We call it the ASCCA Big Stage. And then that's expanded into our newest part of our camp is called the Back 40, which is an indoor facility. It's basically a horse barn that we turned into an indoor arcade, as well as has a stage in there. So if the weather's not good, we can always have an indoor concert.
Wow.
And in Alabama, that comes in handy because you always have that pop-up thunderstorm that'll ruin an outdoor concert.
Oh, sure.
So we've been booking in, legit acts, and nothing against some mom and pop bands that are out there, but I mean, these are real acts that are coming in, and, light shows and.
No, and that, for people out there listening, I'm hearing the names that are starting to say hey, these guys ask us to come play and we're going to go play.
Yeah.
And that's pretty cool. Like you said, for a child that doesn't have that exposure to some of these names, that's a pretty big thing to them.
Right.
Especially to enjoy the music.
Yeah, and the other thing, we've learned, a lot of the parents might tell me because they know we do concerts, and they're like, I don't know if my son's going to do that. He's not a big fan of loud noises or lights and all that. And so, we're like, well, we'll give it a try. If he doesn't like it, we've got a kind of a quiet room we can go off in if we need to. And it's pretty amazing how many of them can do that and enjoy it. And, when we tell the parents or they see the pictures, they're like, I can't believe he, went to that concert and stayed with the loud music and all that. And so, it's been really cool to kind of see that with people kind of pushing the envelope and doing things that they normally wouldn't do.
Right. So now to put people into the eyes of Matt, tell us, I know you kind of described, or we did, what Camp ASCCA is and what it does, but tell me what Camp ASCCA is to you.
Well, to me, it's everything. It's my life. I live at the camp, work at the camp. My family's at the camp. My kids have been raised at the camp. So it's truly, I tell people, I don't even approach it as a job or as work. It's really a lifestyle. And it's the lifestyle that me and my family have chosen. My wife works at the camp full time as well. Right.
So now, and to take that step even further, if you lived on a camp or even any place and a job for 20 something years, what in the world is the drive that gets Matt up every morning to go do this again?
I'm very blessed in that regards. I tell people, and I mean it with sincerity, I've never woken up and been like, man, I don't want to go to work today.
Right.
I've never dreaded going to work. So really it's the campers that keep me motivated. And just to hear the stories of how camp has affected so many different lives, whether that's campers and even the staff stories, how it's affected our staff. We hire about 70 to 80 college students every summer, and how it changes them.
Right.
So it's not only affecting the campers, but it affects, the young people that get to work for us. Just to be, just to say that I'm a part of that, even a small part of that, just it kind of drives me and motivates me to want to do better. And, think about the history of Camp ASCCA and all the wonderful things it's done. I don't want to be the guy that drops the ball.
Right.
So that's going to keep me, we got to keep moving forward. We got to make this summer, whatever summer's coming up, we got to make that our best summer.
Okay, so now for all the families that are out there listening, I know you're a big family person as well. Mm-hmm. Tap us in a little bit to, as you've already mentioned, your family. What is it like growing up 2 kids in this environment? Did they have, I know you alluded to having the family member there early in life that encouraged you. Are you seeing those same effects out of your children growing up on this camp?
I hope so. Camp is a different place. We're in, Jackson's Gap, which is a small town on Lake Martin. And, we were a little worried when I first accepted the job of, are we going to be able to, coming from Atlanta and then coming to this, the isolation, what would that be like, and to raise a family? But it's, I had nothing to worry about because Daybell's a great town. My kids go to Daybell High School. And just a great community, great people. And then for them to get to be at camp and meet so many diverse people. And is, I think, hopefully shaped them into real well-rounded, young people. My son's 20 now, my daughter's 17.
Right.
And so, just to kind of get to see them grow up and be around that environment and educate them about people with disabilities and how, we're all different, but we're all the same.
Correct. Well, and take that family piece a little further. There's a lot of people out there that know that amazing wife that you have, and I'm sure there's a little story I think me and you have discussed before about how you met her and how things kind of happened pretty quickly. Dial us into the wife there.
Yeah, in most circles, I'm actually known as Dana's husband.
Okay, there you go. Yeah.
So that's my other job title, but no, she works at the camp. She's our director of marketing and communications, and she was hired actually right after I was hired.
Okay.
And so I was offered the position, like I said, in January of 99, and was excited about it, but I had to tell them in the interview, I was like, I want to take the job, but I'm actually getting married in 2 weeks. so they're like, oh, that's fine. And, and that was one of our concerns when I took that job was, where's Dana going to be able to work? Because we are kind of in the middle of nowhere, and what job opportunities are out there for her.
Right.
She graduated college before me, and she was actually director of a rape crisis center there in our college town. So she had some background in fundraising and doing those types of things, and obviously has a heart for helping other people as well. And anyway, when we got back from our honeymoon, camp actually had a position open up, and they when I came back to work, they were like, is your wife still looking for a job? And I was like, yeah, actually she was going to, go to Auburn today and had a couple of interviews, and they're like, told her to come in here first.
Wow.
And so they ended up hiring her. And so she's been, at the camp as long as I have, and has that passion for what we do as well. And she's a lot more, behind the scenes doing things, but definitely helps keep me straight, not only in my personal life, but in my work life.
Right. Well, I mean, it sounds like if both of you've lived there for 20-something years and enjoyed it, you've definitely got the passion for being, part of this program and seeing it, as you said, advance forward, not to be the ones that drop the ball, per se.
Right.
Now, if I'm a family, and all of our people out there listening audience, if I'm a family interested in coming to this place, how do I get in touch with Kampeska?
Basically, the easiest place is go to our website, which is just campasca.org. Or if you even Google, camp for people with disabilities in Alabama, we're probably going to be the first place that pops up.
Okay.
But campasca.org, we've got an amazing website. That's actually how you can register for any of our camps. Or you can just call our office. All that information's on the website as well. And be happy to talk to you. We do a lot of kind of tours of camp for families who are kind of new and want to see what it's like. It's better if we can get you out to camp and just kind of, bring your son or daughter with you, and we'll give you a tour and kind of show you and then answer any questions that you have.
Now, is there a cost for people that are listening?
There is. Basically for a week of camp during the summer, the actual cost is $1,150.
Okay.
We automatically give a campership rate of $400 off of that, of $750.
Okay.
And then if $750 is a problem, you can check the box on the application that just says you need some extra help. We call it a hardships campership, and we're not going to turn somebody away because they can't pay.
Right.
So a lot of our fundraising is for our campership program. And we're going to work with you, whether that's setting up monthly payments, or whether that's finding you a sponsor, somebody that'll take care of the whole cost. So, a lot of our campers, we can set them up with someone else who wants to sponsor and get them into camp that way.
Wow. So there is a lot of opportunities out there for a family listening. Even if I can't afford to be there, somehow I can get there.
Yeah, don't let money be the discourager.
There you go. Now break it down for me in the world of disabilities. What qualifies me or don't qualify me to be there? Can I only come if I'm Down syndrome? Can I only come if I'm spina bifida? How does that work?
Yeah. We'll serve just any disability you can think of.
Okay.
There are certain behavior issues that may not work at camp. And we'll, kind of work through those with the parents if they have a concern. Things physical behaviors, hitting, biting, that sort of thing. That's probably not going to work in the group living environment.
Right.
But we do have some family camps that we can offer where they could come with their on weekend camps, and that camper, if maybe they had those types of behaviors, they could come with mom and dad and come to camp that way. So we try to have we don't want to turn anybody away.
Right.
And also we know that a lot of those types of behaviors they can outgrow, and different things like that. So nobody's ever put on a list of he can never ever come to camp.
Right.
So we're going to keep trying and see if we can make it work. And then other things, if they just need to be able to live in the group environment, because you're living in a cabin with other campers, other staff.
Right.
So you need to be able to sleep at night, not be up in the middle of the night, keeping the whole cabin awake, that sort of thing. So,
I got you.
So sometimes those type behaviors, don't work in the summer camp environment. But again, we'll have some family camp options for campers.
Now, do we have an age range?
Pretty wide range.
Okay.
We'll serve as young as 6, and I say 6 to 86, but actually I think the oldest camper we've served is 88.
Wow.
So yeah, you never outgrow it.
So there's no really limitations here.
No.
All right. So let's spin this back to Matt a little bit and tell me some stories, that people would love to hear coming out of Camp ASCCA. And necessarily, like I said, we don't have to say names or anything like that, but some of the moments that is meant to you that in your love for working with these kids.
Probably I would say, and this happened, definitely in like the first month or so that I was working at camp. And I remember this particular story. I remember that was kind of my I get it moment of, okay, I see what this is all about. And anyway, I was outdoor adventure director. So I was working at the zip line, and I was up on the top platform where you clip them into the zip line and send them down. And it was a school group that was there, a special ed school group. And a camper came up, we'll say his name was Jimmy. And Jimmy comes up, and we pulled him up to the top, and Jimmy has autism, so he was nonverbal. And, you always kind of have a fear of if a camper isn't communicating with you, am I sending someone down who really doesn't want to do this? He just doesn't know how to communicate to me about it.
Right.
But I'm watching his body language, and, he looks like he wants to do it, but he's just kind of a blank face, so to speak. So I clip him in and just kind of ease him off the edge. And as soon as I go, I just hear this loud screaming and hollering. And I was like, oh my God. To me, it sounded like terror, like he was terrified. And I was like, oh man, I've sent this kid off of here and I'm scaring him to death. The complete opposite of what we're trying to do here.
Right.
And, I looked down at his teacher, to kind of be like, is he okay? What's going on? Because I can't see him because he's moving away from me. And she's crying. And I'm like, oh my God, what's going on? She's crying. And then she kind of wipes away the tears, and she goes, he's laughing.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, oh. She goes, I've known him since he was in kindergarten, and this was a high school group. She goes, I think I've heard him laugh twice in his life.
Wow.
And so I was like, so now I'm wiping away the tears, up there on the platform. And I was like, wow, this is, you go into the job thinking, oh, well, I'm going to provide fun for people.
Right.
And then you quickly learn there's much more going on here than just fun. And it's a bigger deal.
It's changing lives.
Yeah, it's changing lives.
Yeah. So now, in that being said, in the changing lives part of it, in these 2 children of yours we've talked about and how they've grown up, do you feel like that you may see them come back into this industry one day?
Definitely. That's something that probably, again, being at camp for so long, but that's something I'm probably most proud of right now, is I've had the opportunity. My kids, when you're 15, you can start volunteering at camp as a CIT, a counselor in training. Mm-hmm. And so my son, who's older, when he turned 15, he said he wanted to do it. And,
right.
Me and my wife had talked about this years before, like we're not going to force our kids to work here. They've grown up here. Their whole life's been ASCCA. They've had to make sacrifices in their lives because of ASCCA events that were going on, that dad couldn't make it to this or mom couldn't make it to that. And so, I wasn't going to force ASCCA on them. But he said he wanted to do it. And so we, let him sign up, and he had to go through the interview process just like anybody else. and he completely fell in love with it.
Wow.
And then the same thing when my daughter turned 15, same scenario, and she's completely fallen in love with it. So they've both worked at camp now probably for 3 or 4 summers.
Wow.
And my son's, like I said, so now he's, graduated from a CIT to being a counselor, and then actually this past summer was a unit leader. So he's kind of keeps moving up, but they both just absolutely love it, which is just as a parent to get to be that fly on the wall and kind of see them have that get it moment where they truly, they understand camp because they grew up there, but when they had those moments as a staff member where they truly understand what camp's all about, it was just pretty awesome to see.
Right. Yeah, and I've kind of heard that explained before, that people say sometimes you can read a book, but until you've actually got your hands on what you're reading, it's a whole different environment.
Yeah.
Now tell us too, because I know a little bit more of the story than everybody else, but tell everybody about an honor you got one time to be able to travel to China and tell people how good you are in this industry.
Yeah. As a camp director, I never thought that it would send me around the world, so to speak. But me and our administrator, John Stevenson, along with one of our board members, Dr. Roswell, had the opportunity. Dr. Roswell has some connections in China from Special Olympics and Paralympics from the Beijing Olympics. Mm-hmm. And so anyway, the Beijing Sports University was kind of looking to basically build a camp for people with disabilities. And as a country, before the Beijing Olympics and they hosted Paralympics, statistically, people with disabilities didn't even exist in that country.
Right.
So there's just really no programs or anything. So that was pretty interesting that they were even interested in doing that. So they flew us over there and, took very good care of us. I know that our countries don't always see eye to eye, but as far as people go, they're just like us.
Right.
And that was something that was eye opening for me personally was, there's no differences and they're just good people trying to do good things.
Right.
And so we got to speak to some of their government officials and tell them a little bit about our camp and do basically a presentation and show them what programs are out there and what you can do. And
right.
It kind of led to, for a few years, we were able to host some of their families were able to come over and stay at camp for a couple weeks.
Okay.
And bring their son or daughter with a disability.
Mm-hmm.
So they got to experience camp firsthand that way. And so that was pretty cool to see kind of the international relationship of that.
Right. So now in that coming over to the other side, what do you think they took away from ASCCA?
I think it was pretty eye opening as far as, them realizing, how much someone with a disability can do. Meaning there's really nothing that should hold them back. And I think, kind of in that country, there's kind of that stigma of, oh, well, if you have a disability, you can't do this or you can't do that. And so I think that was pretty eye opening, that they, could see that it's no different than, we say this to our staff all the time is, don't worry about disabilities. It's people.
Right.
People first.
Right.
They're a person. That's all you really need to worry about.
Right.
It's that simple.
Wow. Well, it's been pretty amazing hearing the travels of you and the inspiration of you in all these different places. It's pretty obvious to me that you were meant to be in this field you're in.
Oh, I very much appreciate that. I'm very blessed and very lucky to get to do what I do.
Because it's not every day that a person gets a job that they are happy to wake up every morning and go to work.
Yeah, believe me, I'm very aware of how lucky I am.
So give us a little bit of looking into the future. What does it look like for ASCCA? What's on the horizon?
Oh man, so many things. We again, our administrator John Stevenson just has incredible vision, and we're always moving forward every year. And I think any family that's been coming to camp for any length of time can tell you this. We're always adding something. As we speak, when I left this morning, John's down there with the crew and they're pulling up cement and we're redoing the whole lakefront area where our boathouse used to be. Mm-hmm. and kind of redoing that whole area. But every year we either add a program or we refurbish a building or do something. So we're always our goal is to always be moving forward.
All right, now let's spin that back on Matt. What does Matt's future look like?
Well, hopefully, I'll work at camp either till the day I die or till I retire.
Wow.
So that is my goal. I have no intentions of ever leaving.
Right.
And part of that is because of, John and our board of directors. I just feel like it's such a great place to work, not only for the people I get to work with, but as an organization that's being run well from the top, and making sure that we're doing things the right way and making sure that we're moving forward and doing that. So it's always exciting. It never gets boring. There's always a project going on. There's always something we're trying to add or do better.
Wow.
So.
Well, I mean, that's pretty special in itself to be able to say, all those different things that you've just said about a place that you go to work, but not only that, but what's in your heart, people can tell that. That's what this podcast has always been about, is introducing the world to special people. And I think you qualify as that because you've been doing it from day one. I mean, it seems like from the day you grew up, your mom and daddy's been grooming you for this. And to now you can just feel it in your heart every day that you wake up, that you want to help somebody. So, I mean, if I don't qualify as a special person, I don't know what does.
I appreciate it. I'm just lucky.
Well, very, very blessed in my book.
Yeah.
What I would like to wrap us up with here is our signature series question that we do to everybody that comes on the podcast. So if the book was the day in the life of Matt, so if something happened to you tomorrow and we got to read the book about your life, what would you hope people read in that book?
Hopefully that I was able to impact somebody's life, whether it was campers or staff, and just, hope I was a good father and a good husband and a good Christian.
Wow. I mean, that's it can't be any more well said than that. So now tell us too, before we go, give us all the information of how do we, if we're out there, family of a special child, a person that's got a newly injured person out there looking for resources, how do we get in touch with you and with Kampaska?
Basically, our office is Monday through Friday. You can give us a call, 256-825-9226, or just go to our website, campasca.org, and you can email me directly from there, and you can call me anytime, and we're happy to set up a tour for you and get you out to camp.
Wow. Well, I thank you for coming on today and really giving us your time. I know you're a busy guy out there traveling around, and hopefully in the near future you can come back again and kind of give us the update on it. Sounds like there's a lot of things going on, so we definitely want to hear the updates.
Yeah, definitely. But just want to thank you for everything you're doing, everything you've done, and I appreciate you having me on the show.
Well, thank you again for coming on, and thank you guys for listening. We'll see you on the next episode.